Hello, hello, hello there, everyone. How are you doing today? So glad to be here for today's Coffee Time Career Chat, the networking edition. So glad to be joining you. For those of you who are joining for the very first time, my name is Patricia Hayes. I am an executive advisor, empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And I focus on helping professionals and business execs and entrepreneurs who are trying to up level in their careers and their business, but need help to maintain the level of confidence and empowerment that they need in order to accomplish things at the next level, while also leveraging their existing and maybe new professional relationships to get them there, but to do so authentically and with purpose, right? So I'm the brains behind helping you get to the next level and maximizing your relationships to do it. And it is National Career Development Month. And this week in particular is National Career Development Week. So I'm super excited to be working on a couple of different things. If you're joining in, we're talking about all those things that are important to career transitions and career development this week in particular. So we'll jump into that in just a second. But I also want to give you a heads up is that this week that we're doing my walk in your strength challenge. We're going to do it open, out in the open, so not in a private group. You can follow the series all along on this week on Instagram and LinkedIn and on my business page. So basically in all the places, just keep a lookout for those lovely carousels so that you can follow along and give me your input on what it looks like to walk in your strength as you move along in your career, in your business, in your life, and all those special projects that you really want to get to the next level and perform at levels that you know that you can, not based on what other people think, but based on what you think, and to do it in a way that's very empowered and uplifting. So, looking forward to sharing that with you. Check it out. Make sure that you tag and like and all the things so that you can follow throughout the week. So, that said, we are going to be talking about today networking through career transitions, part one. Because when I mentioned this or when I laid it out for ideas to discuss this month, I realized that this was not a one part conversation. This is at least a two-parter. So for right now, we're doing a two-parter on networking through career transitions. Okay. You can catch part two next week. Now, so notice I said networking through career transitions, not to them, because a lot of times people focus on, oh, I need to go get this person and I need to go learn about that person so that I can get to this next thing. And that is true, right? I mean, there are definitely some truths to that. But people often do not offer or do not go to the depth that they should do when they are only focused on who's the next person they can get to, right? That's a very surface level networking growth strategy, if you call it a strategy, but it is a very surface level, right? It's very traditional and it really reeks of the getting, right? The thing that I'm like, we don't do just that. We're not just about taking. We're about giving and receiving, right? And so when you take on that, what can I get out of this mentality when it comes to your networking, particularly in transitions, it can very quickly lead to frustration because you're not going to get the results you expect or want as quickly as you might if you flipped your strategy. Okay. Pardon me. So the key here is always the mindset, how you're approaching it, and what is it that you're doing in order to get through this transition. So that means what are the actions you're taking while you are in the midst of it, not just to get to the quote end, whatever that destination you've identified. It's not just to get to that, but to get through it, and so that it'll be sustainable and provide you with some growth opportunities. We're going to talk about growth opportunities tomorrow, more, excuse me, on Wednesday, more in depth. So basically, the question is, why bother? Like, why are we bothering to even think about this in this way? And that's what we're going to focus on today. And the first thing that I want to say why you should bother focusing on how you're networking through your transition period is, number one, guess what? Staying connected helps to keep your sanity, really and truly. And I know that sounds so basic and like, yeah, okay, whatever. But seriously, particularly if you're having a difficult transition, right? So if you're having a difficult transition, let's say you're getting out of a toxic work environment, or you've been dealing with, an overzealous boss, or whatever, the business has really been like, you know, stumbling, all the projects to get things off the ground are just, guess what? When you stay connected with other people, not just for the purpose of getting the next gig, but to stay connected so that you can be aligned with reality, and to understand that all of the things you're going to and going through, unfortunately, may not really be unique to you. And that's not a bad thing. It's a great thing because it means you're not alone. And that's really the thing we're getting to here, right? Is recognizing that you are not alone. The situation may be new to you, but it is not necessarily new to everyone that you know. And that means that you have people that you can go talk to, who you can solicit advice from, who you can learn something new from along the way, to help you realize, I'm not crazy. I'm not by myself. And guess what? I can make it through this. All right. And that's not just if it's a toxic or a bad transition. Even in good transitions, even in transitions that you have initiated willingly, or because you've gotten a promotion. Because people a lot of times want to think about transitions as, oh, I got this thing and I'm leaving where I am. Sometimes the transition is in-house, right? So let's say that you are working for an organization and you are being bumped up to a brand new role. Well, you have to treat that like the brand new career transition that it is, okay? Because people are not going to treat you the same. Your colleagues that you've been and peers that you've been working with, that relationship is going to shift. So all of those things still apply. I know a few years ago, I had the honor of working with a great woman who was in the midst of a transition, and her transition was even, I won't say unique, but even more specific, because she was getting appointed to serve as the interim leader in her organization, while the search for the main, for the new person went underway. And it was unique because she wasn't interested in the position, right? But she was interested in some of the things and the access to the new person that would sustain past it. So she actually came to me for help, to help her in and to help her through that transition while serving as the interim. I served as the person who she could bounce ideas off of, to discuss how to approach situations that may have come up during that time, and ultimately as well how to maintain a healthy, sound, professional relationship with the new person when they came in, so that that transition could be successful for them as well as for her. Okay. And that's that thing, staying connected, seeking help, getting some mentorship, getting some coaching through those situations will really help you to, quiet down the crazies and all the angst that will get generated inside your mind and your body, to remember, guess what? I can do this. There are people I can talk to. There are folks that I can check in with, just for the sake of, hey, I need to run this by you, or I'm having a really rough day in the midst of this transition. Can we go get some coffee or grab some lunch or whatever? So just remember, first and foremost, It's really about staying connected to maintain your sanity through the transition. Very important. This is not the time to get isolated. I have done that, made that mistake. It is very dangerous to yourself personally, quite frankly, from a mental health perspective, because you really start internalizing, especially if it's a toxic situation, you start internalizing that and you're not letting it out to share with other people. And I will tell you, it took a turn when I started sharing with other people. And we'll talk about that on point number 3. On point number 2, here we go. The reason why you should bother networking through your career transitions is that it helps you explore unseen opportunities. All right. So a lot of times, again, we're going through something and we're just kind of either, kind of angsty about it, or we're excited, but there's still a lot of unknowns and you're trying to work through what it is you should or should not do. Well, when you maintain those relationships during this transition and through the transition, so we're not even talking about necessarily a deliberate seeking new stuff or new people, right? That happens. It's going to happen. Just the nature of a transition is going to create room and growth for new things to happen. But even beyond that, the key is that it will help you explore unseen opportunities because your brain literally is on a different level, right? You're now looking at things with fresh eyes, with with the idea that there could be something that could come of it that maybe you weren't expecting. And you may not actively be seeking that, right? Because sometimes in the midst of transition, the last thing we want is more change. But the reality is that's what will come to us. And as long as we leave ourselves open to what's possible, there's even greater things that can happen as a result. So even when you are in the midst of a transition, you're up leveling at your current organization, or you're looking to leave it and go pursue another opportunity somewhere else, or let's say you're looking to go start your own business, whatever it may be, keep those relationships you have intact, maintain them, nurture them, engage with people just because, right? Not because you're trying to, quote, get something from them. But when you keep that and keep having those conversations, those are the things that can lead to things you hadn't even thought about. And this is so valuable. I remember I've told this story tons of times and I love it because it always applies in some way or another. And I remember some years ago when I was having coffee with a dear colleague of mine, and we would catch up at least quarterly. Sometimes if things got a little crazy, maybe it only a couple of times a year, but it was always like, without fail, fantastic. And so this time in particular, when we were catching up, he was jumping straight in of like telling me about these opportunities that he'd heard about that he really thought I would be great at. And I had to be like, hey, guess what? That's like I've kind of shifted. I've pivoted and I'm not interested in doing that stuff anymore. And he was like, wait, okay, let me slow down. You tell me what Patricia 2.0 is doing. And I love that. I've always tell him, like, I stick that out. Now I guess I'm on 4.0 version. But here was the thing. When I sat down to have this conversation with him, we were just checking in. And yes, I was pivoting what I was doing, but it wasn't like some sudden thing. I was still exploring it. And when I had this conversation with this person, it allowed him to take a step back, listen to where I wanted to be and where I was at that time, and to then pivot his thinking on my behalf. Do you see what happened? Because then it's like, wait, let me get caught up on you so that now I can clue in to what new opportunities, other things that may work well for you in who you are trying to be now. That is so, so powerful. All right. Especially when you're engaging with those folks in your network who are always great sources of information, of connection. They're the ones who are your biggest cheerleaders. right? These are the people you should be talking to on a regular basis. And regular does not mean every day, doesn't mean every week or blowing up their phones, but whatever flows naturally and authentically for you with that person. So I have some folks, it may be every week in the midst of a transition that I'm checking in with them. Then there are others, it's like, hey, I need the power call, right? And maybe we only talk once a quarter or something, but I know that that time together is going to be extremely insightful. So I'm going to block it. I'm going to make sure nothing else interferes with it because it's extremely valuable and important to my next level growth opportunity. Okay, so remember that networking through those career transitions will also help you explore unseen opportunities that will probably come via the way of folks already in your professional network. That's normally how it happens. They're not even sure that you're the one that it needs to go to until you continue to have chats with them. All right, this is why it's important. Okay, all right. Now for number three, networking through those career transitions is a little bit of overlap from the last one, but it refreshes relevant relationships. I love, love, love this. This is that opportunity to go back to refresh some conversations with people that maybe you had not engaged with in a while, even if it's a year, two, 3 years. I mean, things with the pandemic has really shifted it. So it's like the last 18 months, gets lumped together as one giant, super year. So don't limit it to, oh, well, gosh, I haven't talked to this person in the last, 2 years. Well, there's a lot of people none of us have talked to in the last 2 years because, hello, major international health crises. So don't be afraid to step beyond that, to go back a little bit further as you're looking to refresh these relationships. This is super crucial. I mean, like right now, the news is all about the great resignation and how people are leaving their jobs by droves, in droves, because of lifestyle issues, of realizing that who and what they want to be and do has shifted over the course of the last year and a half, 2 years. And so what should you be doing in that? This is exactly the time to go refresh some relationships, some professional relationships that you maybe have not tapped in a minute. All right. And there's a way to do that. We're not going to go into the details of that right now, but you don't have to feel guilty about it. You don't have to feel like, oh, I mean, it's all about approaching things authentically. It could be as simple as a phone call, a text message, or an email that says, hey, Patricia, I know it's been a minute since we chatted. So many things have changed. I would love to be able to get on a phone to meet for coffee or get on a Zoom with you when your schedule allows. It could be that simple. It does not have to be some long, drawn out, butter somebody up thing. Just be real. I highly encourage it. It is very effective. Just be real, okay? And when you do that, what happens is when you leave yourself open to that, the people who you need show up. It's just the truth. It's just the way things work. The people you need at that time show up, or the tools that you need to get to those people show up, right? The bottom line is what the opportunities to go and refresh some relationships that are relevant to where you are now, or to gain access to some new ones, will appear. You just have to leave yourself open to receiving them and making sure you take the action necessary to follow through and to follow up. Literally, just this weekend, I attended an event that I almost didn't go to because I was running behind. I had back-to-back events on a Saturday morning, and I have not been used to that in quite some time. But I went ahead and went to the first event, and I was there, and I, was there to deliver some things and to show my face. And then literally at the end, I'm almost about ready to leave. And the connection that I was supposed to be there for happened. I didn't plan it. I wasn't looking for it. Totally connected with someone who is going to be extremely important in the lives of other people that I know. So it's not even for me personally, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to introduce you to this person. Here's what's going on. All of these types of things. This is what you do when you make the effort, go do the thing, allow yourself to experience some visibility even when you're not necessarily feeling like it. Okay. And those relevant relationships will appear and show themselves. All right. But you have to make the effort. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and like, where are they? No, you do have to do something. You have to put yourself out there. You have to make some calls. You have to talk to people. All right. Keep doing that. Maintain that level of visibility that you need during a transition. This does not mean you go hide in a corner or behind your Zoom, camera and turn it off. Make yourself literally physically available and visible to people. Okay. And this is how you can maintain those relationships that you need, as well as to develop the ones that will help you through the career transition, through the professional transition that you are experiencing at this time or in the near future. Okay, that is it for today. It has been fantastic being with you. Make sure you connect up so that you can keep track of the Walking Your Strength challenge that's going to be going on live on my social media channels this week in honor of National Career Development Week. So stay tuned for that. And then also, there's going to be some Black Friday coaching opportunities and a winter workshop where you can get some strategic career planning in place to build the relationships that you need so that you can have a successful 2022 the way you want to. All right. Take care. As always, you know where to find me. Hit me up in the messages, send me an email, and I'm happy to schedule some time to get on the phone and chat about what your next best thing is going to be and make it happen. All right. Take care, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye bye.